So just before we get into this video, I want to give a huge shout out to Auckland Camera Centre, who lent me a whole bunch of gear before our country went into lockdown, so I could make videos for you guys over this 4-week period, or however long we're going to be in this thing. So if you're in Auckland or in New Zealand, they ship New Zealand wide, no issues at all. So if you want to check them out, I've put a link in the description. Thanks to Auckland Camera Centre, and let's just jump straight into the video. All right, what's happening, guys? So today I'm going to break down this Nikon Z6 review. The main thing I want to talk about first, and the reason I'm uploading this video, is because it's probably what had the most controversy when I was talking about it in my initial review of the Nikon Z6, because it had older firmware. But today it's on the version 3.0. I've checked on the internet and it's the latest version you can get. I've got the native 24mm 1.8 Nikon lens, the mirrorless version, and I've got my Sony A7R III with the 24mm G Master. But it's besides the point today, because I'm not talking about performance. In terms of eye focus, they both perform really well. I haven't had an issue with either of them. They both track eyes really well. They both perform really well in terms of autofocus. That's not the issue. And maybe it's not going to apply to you anyway because you don't want to use eye focus or whatever, but this is aimed mostly at wedding photographers and probably events and a few other things like that, I'd imagine. But there's a lot of cases where I want to focus on like the background and have the people out of focus, or I want to focus on a different face, and it's just not ideal. So the difference is the way I have my Sony set up. Now I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to record the back of the camera so you can see for yourselves anyway, but I'm using back button focus, and I have my AF on set to normal everyday focus, which eye focus still works anyway. If you hold whatever point over a face, it's still going to use eye focus, but it's separated. So AEL button here is set to eye focus. Now the difference being is that I can choose whether or not to use eye focus in any focus area, which is the biggest difference. So with the Nikon Z6 you have to be in wide area, where it covers the whole entire frame, so you can't be choosing what you want to focus on. Like I said, it's going to come down to how you want to use your camera, and this may not be an issue for you. If that's the case, then probably stop watching. It's not going to help you out. And this isn't just Nikon Z6, this is any Nikon mirrorless, any Canon mirrorless. Fuji's work a little bit differently, but still not the way the Sony works, which stands out amongst the rest just for being different. Whether it's better or not is up to you. So I am going to go over all the comments in my old Nikon Z6 video and see everything you guys were saying, all the criticisms and all the questions I had in that video, and address them with the new firmware update and test them side by side with the Sony. So if you guys want to know anything to do with the two cameras, maybe you're deciding between the two, the Sony isn't going to be right for everybody, and the Nikon isn't going to be right for everybody. So it's totally up to you what you choose. They're both really fantastic cameras, and I think they both have things better than the other. Like the Nikon is amazing for video. The stabilization is way better than the Sony, I can tell you that now. But I'll stop yabbering on now. Let me show you the back of the screen so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. And bearing in mind, this isn't a performance thing. This isn't about which camera is better. This is just demonstrating how each camera works differently. So let's jump in. High five. Good girl. Okay, so first I've got the Nikon Z6. It's on the latest firmware, version 3.0, and I've got my Sony, which we'll put on the tripod after this. But in this first one, I just wanted to show you guys what I'm talking about when it comes to the functionality. So here, for example, on the AF on set, it's tracking a face, no problem at all. I have it on back button focus, so and eye focus and face turned on. So right now it's not picking up her eye, it's just picking up her face, but that's fine. The issue is you have to be in wide area focus. So if I go and put it into single point, which is what I'm guessing most people are going to use, reason being is and then you can move the joystick around and you can choose what you want to focus on. But as you can see, eye focus doesn't work in single point mode, so you have to have it over the face. The issue is, for me personally, if you put it into wide area, you can't choose what you want it to focus on. There's a lot of times where I might have a person here, but I want to focus on the background, not in this image for example, but if for some reason it's always going to pick up a face and you can't change it, you can't get it off the face. So you have to go back and change it back to single point, and then it works again. But you can't use eye focus. So it's not about the performance of iFocus, because it seems to work really, really fantastically, especially with the latest firmware update. It's just about how you go about using iFocus. So now if I put my Sony on a tripod, you can see here I have iFocus programmed to this AEL button and normal focus to this AF on. So if I put my focus in the middle here, I can still choose whatever I want. Now if I press AEL, it's going to lock to her eye anyway. The difference being that I don't have to change modes. You know, I can focus on whatever I want around the frame, push in to go back to the middle, same as what you can do on the Nikon, but you know, you don't have to be in wide area. So it's the same thing. If I'm in wide area, it's still going to use her face, but it's exactly the same as the Nikon, where I can't choose anything else other than the face that it's picking up. You can choose different faces by toggling through on the Nikon, but you have to be in wide area. With this one, I can put it on small and focus on whatever I want in the background, but if I want to choose I just press AEL and I have iFocus. But performance between them seems to be definitely good enough either way, but Sony having a slight edge. But yeah, it's not so much about the performance, like I said, either is good enough totally for any of these situations, but it's just the way you go about using it, where you can separate the buttons on the Sony. And every other system is the same. Sony's the only one that's doing it like this. So Fuji, Panasonic, Canon, Nikon, they all, you know, you have to have, Fuji being slightly different, where you can be in any focus mode and iFocus will still work, so I definitely prefer that, but it's not exactly the same as this, where you can have it programmed to a separate button. So that's what I'm talking about when it comes to the focus and the way it's set up in terms of the functionality, not in terms of performance, just in terms of functionality. So there you have it, guys. Today is just purely about demonstrating how iFocus works with each camera. I think Nikon can easily solve this issue. If you're gonna, I call it an issue, so I'm just gonna keep calling it an issue. If you don't think it's an issue, like I said, it doesn't matter. But I think this problem can be solved easily by Nikon, just by, you know, updating the firmware. Same with Canon, and I think it will make a huge difference to people. And it's something that, unless you use it, you need to really use these cameras, especially the Sony setup, like I have mine set up. I have a setup guide as well. If you have Sony already, I'll put that up here so you can check those out. But yeah, I hope this helps you guys out. So yeah, see you guys in the next video.